Stop and listen, because this message did not reach you by accident. There is a reason your spirit felt uneasy before your eyes even came to these words. There is a reason that lately, every time you tried to move forward, something seemed to resist you, delay you, or quietly drain your strength. Archangel Michael says you are not imagining the pressure, and you are not losing your mind. A hidden enemy has been operating in secrecy, but something is shifting now, and the moment of exposure is much closer than you realize. Keep reading carefully, because what is about to happen will not only reveal what has been hidden, it will also expose why the resistance increased at the exact time your breakthrough was near. Type Amen if your spirit already knows this message is for you. There are battles you can see, and then there are battles that take place behind doors no one else knows about. This is why the opposition around you has felt confusing. It has not always looked like an attack. Sometimes it has looked like miscommunication, forgotten opportunities, sudden silence, strange delays, or people who smile while their hearts are divided. But there is more happening than you realize. Heaven has been observing the pattern, and what seemed random was actually strategic resistance. Do not ignore this part. The enemy does not waste effort on what carries no threat. If there has been unusual pushback, unusual fatigue, or unusual confusion around your name, your assignment, your family, or your future, it is because something valuable is moving toward you. Comment I believe if you know unseen warfare is real. Archangel Michael says the hidden enemy has believed they were clever enough to remain covered, but darkness always overestimates itself. It begins to think it can outrun truth. It begins to think it can speak one thing and intend another without consequence. Yet even now the ground beneath secrecy is beginning to tremble. A crack is forming in the mask. A shift is beginning in the hidden chamber. And what happens next is important, because the very tactic that has been used to slow you down will become the thing that reveals the source of the problem. The enemy has been operating carefully, but careful is not the same as invisible. There is a difference between being concealed for a season and being protected from exposure forever. Stay with this message, because the next revelation changes everything. Type 777 if you sense the timing is not ordinary. You may have wondered why certain conversations never reached completion, why certain people changed their tone when your progress became visible, why a door seemed open and then suddenly felt harder to cross, why a path that should have been smooth became full of invisible friction. This is the kind of pressure that makes a person question themselves, but heaven is saying, do not let confusion become agreement with defeat. The hidden enemy has been feeding on uncertainty, hoping you would misread the season and step back before the gate opened fully. But your delay was never your doom. It was the stage where heaven was gathering evidence, aligning protection, and allowing what was concealed to come into the light at the appointed hour. Comment still standing if you have survived what was meant to silence you. And there is something else you need to know. The one working against you may not have appeared dangerous at first. That is part of the deception. Some opposition comes loud, but this kind came wrapped in subtlety. It may have arrived through encouragement that slowly turned into control, through support that quietly became competition, or through an alliance that began to feel emotionally heavy without explanation. Archangel Michael says discernment is being sharpened in you now because you are about to see a pattern that was hidden in plain sight. Suddenly, old memories may feel different. Words someone spoke weeks or months ago may now carry a second meaning. What seemed like an isolated incident may reveal itself as part of a larger design. Do not skip this. Keep reading, because the truth is not just that an enemy exists, but that the enemy is about to make a mistake they cannot recover from. Type protected if you believe heaven has been shielding you. The mistake will not happen because darkness becomes weak all at once. It will happen because arrogance always overreaches. It believes it can touch what heaven has already marked. It believes it can disturb what God has already scheduled. It believes it can tamper with a destiny and remain unnoticed. But hidden motives have a way of collapsing under their own weight. The pressure to maintain the lie becomes too heavy. The web becomes too intricate. The mask begins to crack at the edges before it fully breaks. And when the cracking starts, the exposed places begin to show where the deception was stitched together. This is why you have felt a strange calm beneath the pressure, as if something in the atmosphere already knows the battle is turning. Very soon, a revelation is approaching that will make past confusion suddenly make sense. Type "My time is coming" if you are ready for the reveal. Before we continue, I feel led to share something with you. Over the years, thousands of people have reached out asking for powerful prayers they could pray during difficult seasons of life. That's why I put together a collection of some of the most powerful faith-building prayers I know. These prayers have helped people find peace during anxiety, strength during hardship, and hope when they felt like giving up. The best part is that I decided to make it completely free. If you would like a copy, simply check the link in the description, and I'll send it to you. Do not wait until another difficult season arrives. Take it now while it's available, and keep it close for the days ahead. Now there is something else you need to know. Heaven has not been silent. The silence was not absence. It was strategy. Like watchmen on a wall before dawn, angels have been observing movement in the distance. They have seen what human eyes could not see. They have seen the hidden chamber where motives were being shaped. They have seen the behind-the-scenes discussions where your name was spoken with envy, calculation, or fear. They have seen the timing of certain doors being delayed on purpose. But there is a limit to how long concealment can survive when light begins to press in. And that light is increasing now. If you have felt more spiritually alert lately, more sensitive to what is off, more unwilling to ignore red flags, that is because your discernment has been activated for exposure. Do not dismiss the discomfort. It is information. Comment, God is working, if you know heaven is moving even when you cannot see it yet. There are moments when the enemy makes its presence known not by bold attack, but by subtle disturbance. A peace you had suddenly feels harder to hold. A conversation leaves you drained for reasons that are difficult to explain. A plan that once felt smooth begins to meet resistance in a way that seems almost coordinated. Archangel Michael says these patterns matter because they point to intent, not coincidence. Something has been trying to interrupt your alignment. Something has been trying to pull your attention away from what God is forming. But the hidden enemy has overlooked one critical thing. Your season is not decided by secrecy. Your season is decided by divine timing. And timing matters. Before long, the pressure that was used to conceal the lie will become the force that exposes it. Stay until the end because the revelation is still unfolding. You may even notice that certain people around you are growing uneasy as your spirit becomes more steady. That is not accidental. When truth begins to approach, people who depended on confusion start to feel exposed. The hidden enemy senses the coming light before it fully arrives. That is why there may be sudden defensiveness, strange detours, or an attempt to redirect blame elsewhere. But the attempt to cover can become the very clue that uncovers. This is the critical mistake. The enemy will act too soon, speak too much, push too hard, or reveal a detail they meant to keep hidden. And once that happens, the pattern cannot be unseen. The kingdom of darkness often fails, not because it stops resisting, but because it becomes impatient. Comment ready if you believe exposure is closer than it seems. There is also a deeper reason this is happening now. Your next level requires clean ground. Heaven will not build a fresh chapter on corrupted foundations. So before promotion, before recognition, before the wider opening, there is often a separation of truth from falsehood. This is not punishment. This is protection. God is not only blessing you, He is also clearing what cannot come with you. The hidden enemy thought the delay meant defeat, but the delay was a scan of the terrain. Every obstruction has been measured. Every false cover is being tracked. Every invisible thread is becoming visible under the rising light. What happens next will not be subtle for long. A name may surface. A motive may become obvious. A pattern may repeat one final time before it breaks open. Type "Yes, Lord," if you are willing to let truth do what only truth can do. And I need you to hear this carefully. Not every enemy looks like hatred. Some come disguised as concern. Some come wrapped in familiarity. Some appear as a door that seems helpful, but is actually meant to distract you from the true pathway. This is why discernment has been so urgent in this season. Archangel Michael says the critical mistake will involve the enemy trusting their disguise too long. They will assume you still cannot see clearly. They will assume you are still tired, still confused, still too distracted to notice the pattern. But heaven has been strengthening your sight. You are beginning to see through what once blurred you. Keep reading, because the coming revelation will not just show you what was done, it will show you why it could never succeed permanently. Type 1 receive if you are ready for wisdom and clarity. Maybe that is why you have felt led to pray more carefully, even when you did not have the words. Maybe that is why certain nights felt heavier than others, as if your spirit was standing near a threshold. There are thresholds in the spirit that look ordinary to others but feel significant to the one crossing them. The hidden enemy has tried to keep you standing at the threshold by causing hesitation, yet heaven is moving you through. The moment of crossing is approaching, and the one who worked in shadows will soon trigger their own exposure. Their mistake may look small at first, but small openings often reveal large rooms. One wrong statement, one overreaction, one hidden action seen by the wrong set of eyes, and the entire web begins to loosen. Comment, blessed if you believe God can turn exposure into advancement. Many people watching this message have been carrying burdens they never talk about. If that sounds like you, I want to give you something special. I created a free prayer guide filled with powerful prayers for protection, breakthrough, peace, healing, and strength. Thousands of believers have already downloaded it and shared how much it encouraged them during difficult moments. There is absolutely no cost. I simply wanted to place this resource into the hands of people who need it most. If you feel led, go to the description and claim your free copy before continuing. One prayer prayed at the right moment can change more than you realize. Now listen carefully, because the next part of this message is important. Do not let your heart be troubled by the existence of resistance. Resistance is often the sign that something important is in motion. If nothing valuable were happening, there would be no need for such careful interference. But you are not moving toward nothing. You are moving toward something that heaven has already named. There is a future version of your life that the enemy has studied and feared. That is why the pressure came. That is why the confusion increased. That is why a hidden hand has tried to make you second-guess what God already confirmed. Yet the confirmation is not dying, it is deepening. Before the season ends, a hidden thing will be brought into daylight in a way that cannot be denied. Type 333 if you believe angelic help is near. Archangel Michael says the atmosphere is changing in your favor, and the hidden enemy does not know how to adapt quickly enough. They are trapped by their own design. Every attempt to maintain secrecy creates more evidence. Every attempt to control the narrative creates more fracture. Every attempt to look innocent creates tension in the very places that should have stayed calm. This is why the next revelation will feel sudden, even though heaven has been preparing it for a long time. A closed chapter is already beginning to loosen. A hidden decision is already surfacing in the unseen realm. Someone who thought they had more time is about to feel the pressure of truth at the door. Do not look away now. The exposure is not random. It is purposeful. It is the mercy of God refusing to let deception shape your destiny. Type faith if you know mercy can arrive as revelation. And because the enemy's mistake is approaching, your own spirit must remain steady. Do not rush ahead of the unveiling. Do not force what heaven is bringing into place. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay grounded while the hidden chamber opens. The truth will come with enough force on its own. You do not need to fight for what God is already defending, but you do need to remain watchful. A watchman does not create the storm. He sees it before others do. That is where you are now. You are seeing movement before the full shape appears. You are sensing the shift before the final sound is heard. A mistake is being set in motion by the very one who thought they were setting a trap. Common, I trust God if you are letting heaven handle what you cannot see. There is a kind of justice that only appears after hidden things are exposed. It does not always come with noise. Sometimes it comes with a simple unveiling that makes everything else collapse into truth. The liar is undone by the lie. The manipulator is undone by the contradiction. The hidden agenda is undone by the inconsistency. And what they meant for your harm becomes the evidence that clears your path. That is why this message feels both serious and hopeful. It is serious because something was indeed hidden. It is hopeful because hidden does not mean forever. In fact, hidden often means temporary when God decides to intervene. Before long, you may hear something that confirms what your spirit already suspected. When you do not panic. Recognition is part of the healing. Comment chosen if you know you were never abandoned in this process. What is being revealed is not just the enemy, but the extent of heaven's vigilance over your life. You were not left alone in the valley. You were not unguarded at the crossroads. You were not forgotten in the waiting room. Invisible help has been surrounding you in ways you could not measure. The same hands that protected you when you were too weary to pray have also been preparing the moment of exposure. So when the mistake happens, and it will happen, understand that it is not merely an accident. It is the collapse of a scheme under divine pressure. A mask cracking, a false cover lifting, a hidden chamber opening under the force of light. What once felt protected by darkness will no longer hold. Type Amen if you believe heaven's light is stronger. And now the final turn is approaching. Not every detail will be revealed at once, because heaven unfolds truth in mercy. But enough will be seen for you to stop doubting the pattern and start walking in confidence. The hidden enemy is about to make a critical mistake because they do not understand the hour has changed. What they could once do quietly will no longer remain quiet. What they could once hide will no longer stay buried. What they could once twist will now be examined by light. Soon, a door will open that exposes the very path they tried to block. Someone's own action will answer your prayer without intending to. Someone's own words will confirm what you were asking God to show you. And in that moment, fear will lose its grip. Type ready if you are ready to step into clarity. Hold steady now because the closing of this word is also the beginning of your peace. The enemy is not greater than the one who watches over you. The shadow is not stronger than the dawn. The lie cannot outrun the light forever. So breathe, listen, and remain until the end of this moment in the Spirit. What has been concealed is nearing exposure. What was meant to confuse you is about to clarify your path. What tried to silence you will end up confirming your discernment. Archangel Michael says this is your reminder to stand firm, keep your armor on, and trust the timing of heaven. A hidden enemy is about to make a critical mistake, and when it happens, the truth will begin to rise like morning over a dark hill. Comment still standing if you know you will not be shaken. Before you leave, remember that my free prayer collection is waiting for you in the description below. Thousands of people have already downloaded it and used these prayers during seasons of anxiety, uncertainty, spiritual battles, and breakthrough. I made it completely free because I want every believer to have access to powerful prayers when they need them most. If this message encouraged you today, make sure you claim your free copy before you go. And if this message spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and leave your prayer request in the comments so this community can stand with you in faith. May God bless you, strengthen you, and guide every step ahead.